Part 2. The Flight. It took 2 weeks to prepare for the trip, but they were finally in the air. They traveled across thousands of miles of barren land. The world was dry and desolate, full of lifeless valleys. They passed over ruined stones and metal monuments, burned out rusted shells of old vehicles and aircrafts, and fields of charred tree stumps, remnants of the old world. They were a squad of 7 people. Colton was the team leader. Maxwell Belafonte, the most recent successor of the title of overseer, the person in charge of running the compound. Adriana Chavez, a skilled roach hunter. Will Wilson, arms specialist. C. Jackson, their heavy gunner. Alea Diamond, maintenance personnel. And Johnny, the pilot. Thousands of feet above the ground, Colton marveled at the lifeless world. It was beautiful somehow. His thoughts were on the mission, and he began to second-guess why he agreed to come. Then he thought about Maria. "Colton," the pilot said. His voice came through the headsets everyone was wearing. "Yeah," Colton said. "Can you imagine what the world looked like before the rock hit? Green trees, colorful plants, different animals, and rain that isn't trying to burn your skin off? It must have been something nice. That's what all the old folks used to say." "Why do we need all this ammunition? We never needed this much to kill roaches," Chavez asked. "Ask him," Colton said, pointing to the overseer. "The rock is unknown terrain. We don't know what we might encounter once we get there. It's better to be prepared," the overseer said. "Assuming we make it through the storm wall and don't crash in a fiery death," Colton said. "Don't worry, Colton," the pilot said. "I've flown through all types of hell in this barren. We'll make it through." "I'm sure the last group to attempt thought the same thing," Colton said, glaring at the overseer. Everyone went silent, except for the pilot, who mumbled something under his breath. Colton knew he was their best warrior. He led hunting packs to go out for roach meat. Bastards were hard to kill, but he became an expert at it. So if they did run into any roaches or anything else, he could rely on his experience. Flying into the storm wall was different. You can shoot a roach, but you can't shoot the wind. Then the helicopter wobbled as they got closer to the storm wall. A few hundred yards away, the storm wall was the perpetual dust storm that surrounded the rock. The winds curved around the rock at dangerous speeds, hurling all kinds of debris within it. In all the years Colton had lived, nothing or no one has ever made it through. Lightning blasted in long and bright crackling strands before fading away. Everyone braced for impact as they approached. "I'm pushing her through, everybody. Hold on to something," the pilot said. The helicopter rattled under the force of the wind, and the dust swept through in a wave. It was so thick that Colton couldn't see in front of him. The howl of the storm was like that of 1,000 screeching roaches, and the helicopter shook violently, engulfed by the pressure of the winds. Colton felt the dust ripping at his body through his Evo suit and face mask. Then, after what seemed like an eternity, the shaking stopped, and they were flying more smoothly. Colton opened his eyes to see dark clouds booming in the sky above. Directly in front of them was a massive mountain. It went on for what had to be thousands of miles, dwarfing their small helicopter. Colton felt small, like the bead of sweat that trickled down his forehead. The mountain was mostly ragged edges with gigantic cliffs and steep crevices. It was larger than they had expected. "Holy shit," someone said. Colton didn't want to believe it, but this mountain was the rock.